You're listening to The Unpenned Show with Paul and Andy, broadcasting live around the world. We believe freedom is free. It is enslavement that you're paying for. If you ain't mad by now, you're not paying attention.
Who are you carrying all those bricks for, anyway? God? Is that it? God? Well, I tell you, let me give you a little inside information about God. God likes to watch. He's a prankster. Think about it. He gives man instincts. He gives you this extraordinary gift, and then what does he do? I swear, for his own amusement, his own private cosmic gag reel, he sets the rules in opposition. It's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow. And while you're jumping from one foot to the next, what is he doing? He's laughing his sick fucking ass off. He's a tight ass. He's a sadist. He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never.
Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven, is that it?
Why not? I'm here on the ground with my nose in it since the whole thing began. I've nurtured every sensation man has been inspired to have. I cared about what he wanted, and I never judged him. Why? Because I never rejected him, in spite of all his imperfections. I'm a fan of man. I'm a humanist. Maybe the last humanist. Who, in their right mind, Kevin, could possibly deny the 20th century was entirely mine? All of it, Kevin! All of it. Mine. I'm peaking, Kevin. It's my time now. It's our time.
Anybody want a drink? I'm having a drink.
Yeah, okay, we started with Yellow and the Race.
Yes.
Now, I think that is a very, very good tune. Early 90s, I think. Mm-hmm. And the race, and that's what we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is a race on every single level.
We have a human race.
However you want to project this race, it is a race. And we have a start date for the race, don't we? Mm-hmm. And that is your birth date. And we have an end date for the race. Mm-hmm. And that is the end date. And on the gravestones, the race is represented by that little track, isn't it?
Yeah.
Born 1964, died, and there's a gap. And that gap, that line, that bit is your race. Mm-hmm. And the word race, a human race, a financial race, a spiritual race, a mental race, a race for knowledge. What is it? A race to grow up?
Yeah.
A race to acquire?
All of those.
It's the Olympics, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the Olympic field, our language all develops from that Olympic field. From the challenge, the batons, the lanes, the tracks, the ovals, the circles, the cycles, the fences, the hedges, the throws, the hurls, the catches, the miscatches, the kicks, the jumps, the hops, the skips. It's all there.
Yeah.
And the swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And the swimming, after all, it's the swimming. It's all there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It all develops from that Greek Olympic playing field.
Yep. And they pick the best to compete.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
They only want the best.
Me too.
The sun-blessed. Yeah? Remember sun-blessed?
Sun-blessed, yeah, bread.
You know, those advertisers have hijacked in many ways the language of old, haven't they? Those advertisers have learnt. They have learnt very easily. They've learnt how the symbols and the connections and the words work, and they've hijacked them and put them on all sorts of products around us. And although I'm not saying those symbols and signs are worthless, they have been hijacked by the advertising community.
They have,
because their meanings are much deeper. You know, your surf and your tide and your Daz and your fairy, and your sun-blessed and your John Smiths even. You know, with the overarching John Smiths, which is obviously the arc of the sun, as it were, and the magnet drawn to the sun. That's a deeper meaning advertisement, as it were. You see, and a divert for the eyes and mind is advertisement. That's what it is. It's meant to be a divert for the eyes. The language hasn't changed a great deal from all those years ago, but it has been diluted and made it harder for us to track it. We can't track it because it now has so many different uses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And although you and I do try and decode it, we can never get people to see that we're living in the past.
Yes.
We always think now is now, but it isn't, because we didn't create this very moment. Creation did. Now they're trying to hijack creation and become the creators.
They are.
Once you achieve the ability to be creation itself, you've usurped God. Now, whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't matter to me. I didn't make this planet, so I'm prepared to listen to claims for all those who might want to say they did. But I know I didn't make it, so I'm not going to say that I'm God. Now, I know that lots of people say, but you are your own God. You are. You're your own version of Jesus. It's all in you. Now, I've heard this before. I've heard this.
And all this. Yeah.
I've heard all this. And it sounds great, doesn't it? But it's also removing a belief system that did serve well for an awful long time. Now, this isn't a show about religare, religion. This isn't a show about leagues and divisions. This isn't a show about promotion and demotion. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how we got here. Because we do not live in the now. We live in the now that's been created by somebody in front of us.
In front of us, yes.
And we're taught to watch. And to be a watcher, the closest you can get to creation if you're watching is second.
Yes.
And that's what you're wearing on your arm.
You are.
It's not called a clock, is it?
No.
It's not called a clock on my arm.
No.
It's not called a timekeeper. It's not called a mini clock. It's called a watch. And it feeds you information in the smallest, minute versions of seconds. Because you're a watcher. And you're second at the very best. Because you've just watched that second being created. Because it should be called a first.
It should, yeah.
But it's not. It's called a second. And we have to understand that we live in the past. Now, how far in the past depends where you are in the race. Because the race is always continuing. It depends how long a race and how hard you make this race. Because the hurdles, the twists, the turns, the hills, the descents, they'll all be there to challenge you. Because this isn't a flat race at all. This is a roller coaster of a ride. If you choose to take the ride.
Yeah.
Because it is just a ride. And you can get off and have a break at any time. But the race itself is your personal journey.
Yeah.
And we call it a path. But if you're following a path that's been made by another, it's not your path.
Not yours, no.
And if you're walking down that path and you're allowing other people to light your way, you're still not creating anything. You're still at best second. Because you've got to be the pathfinder. They've got to pave your own mind. Pavemente. Make your own path. Light your own way. Be your own light. But I get back to belief. Belief bothers me a great deal. If we don't believe in something greater than ourselves that made this lovely blue planet and its entire solar system that holds it in place, if we don't believe that something, and I won't say body, something is responsible for its creation, then what do we believe in? Because if you don't believe in anything, then you're going to get sold something. You're going to get sold somebody else's version of what's happened. Now, I don't have a different version. All I do is put another little spell into the word God. And I put another little O in there. And it turns into the word good. Now, when the word good is used, in all places that we have God already printed, it fits perfectly. So it's not what would God do for me. It's what would good do. What would good do? And there is the challenge of temptation that you've been asked to resist your entire life. We open our show with the devil himself,
Yes.
telling you exactly why the last century belonged to him. He'd got you. He'd spent the time down on this. He was a fan of man. He knew what we wanted and gave us it, and didn't put restrictions on. A little look at history tells you that the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Mm.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
That for the first time in human history, for the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. And these new and old major powers face still yet another novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather pungently, and I was flattered that the British Foreign Secretary repeated this, as follows. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people, literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
Common people and pulp, make of that what you will. We were talking about the religarity, the religion, the divisions and the leagues. Just think of the Premier League. Think of the very thing that we call the Premier League. And imagine, instead of having football teams, religious orders from around the world.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're all vying for each other, and they have matches with each other every week. And the ones with the most money are at the top, and the ones with least money at the bottom. It's just another version of the Premier League.
Yeah.
But we call it religion.
We do.
It's the same thing.
Mm.
And common people, they pulp us.
Mm.
Pulpit.
Yeah.
And we are the pulpi, pupils. And just in case you think altar is just coincidental, pulping it's the same bloody thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mashing it all together and selling them in one go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business.
It is a business.
That's why you go for a service.
I know, and it says the money is the root of all evil, but without the money...
The love of money. The love of money.
None of these could exist.
If money was the root of all evil, only people with money would be evil.
Mm.
That's not the truth at all, is it?
No.
That's not the way this works. The word evil is vile, veil, evil, Levi, and live.
Mm-hmm.
The odds are stacked against us on that word, aren't they?
They certainly are.
They certainly are. We do the word decode, and we got quite well into it last week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do any news at all.
No, well, I think we did a couple of stories.
We did
that
do
were
a
about
couple
all.
of news. Nothing from the north, east, west, and south, did we? Not really.
No.
Nothing from the north, east, west, and south. But the word decode is fun. And sometimes when we're in the mood to do it, we do it. And sometimes I just don't get into the swing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in the past. We do not and are not creation.
No.
We're not.
We're not creating anything
No,
anymore.
we don't create anything of value.
No.
And that now is manifesting in our daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
We started buying things that we should be making a long time ago because slaves from the other side of the world were making them for a price that we were happy paying.
Yeah.
We were talking today, weren't we? I've got some tables outside where I am now, some picnic type tables,
Mm-hmm.
and they've done the work. They've done the work. There's some work needs on them. We need some work doing on them.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the economy we have, it's cheaper to throw those tables away
It is. We did
and buy some new ones.
Yeah.
And we all know that the Nike trainers or Reebok or Adidas or whatever brand you cattle want to buy, because all cattle have to be branded, and they let you brand yourself. You can have a designer brand if you want, but you're still chattel cattle.
Mm-hmm.
You're still a vassal and vessel. You're a vassal and a vessel. You might as well be called a can.
Mm.
Okay, you can, I can, we can. They fill you up during school time.
Yeah.
And then empty you out over your working life.
They do.
And what are we going to recycle? We might as well just make it into another can.
Mm.
Because that's where we're going.
We are going
This
down that
recycling
path.
does go right down to recycling us. And this is where the Parliament of Wales can say that we will harvest your organs unless you've opted out. Now, who gave servants the ability to make those decisions?
Yeah.
We do know that they've been harvesting organs for quite some time. And we know how it starts. They put it into reality, usually through comedy. Monty Python were doing this in the 70s. They were doing the harvesting organs sketch. Now, I haven't really seen it through the 80s, but it'll exist if I look for it. And I haven't really, but it'll exist if I look for it. But it did exist on BBC Two about a month ago. Late night on BBC Two. I think I mentioned it on one of the shows. We weren't on awake then, but I mentioned it. And this is where a comedy sketch, I forget it completely, because TV's not, it's not memorable in a way that I look forward to watching it. But I do put it on and sometimes learn a little bit of something that I can share with other people. The comedy sketch went like this. The comedian himself turned up in A&E drunk. Absolutely rolling drunk. Wearing a dirty old Mac. He looked a scruff. Bottle of beer in one hand, takeaway in the other. Really. And he was obviously drunk to the point of being incapable. Gaza type drunk. And the nurses rushed from behind the desk and grabbed his arms and propped him up and helped him into the A&E. Then took his jacket off and took his hat off, took his scarf off, and I think they got to get him a drink of water. And then another nurse came and put a white coat on him. And said, right now, come on, doctor, come on, we need you now. And he was taken into a room that said, organ harvesting room. Now that's comedy for BBC Two late night apparently on a Sunday. I don't really know which bit of that's funny, but then you have to ask the demographic of who's watching it.
Yeah.
Who was watching BBC Two late at night? The demographic is, it's over 30s, isn't it? Do we think that a large proportion of the population in some part know what's going on and are okay with it?
No. Well,
a large proportion of the population know in some part what's going on and they're okay with it.
I see what you mean. Yes, sorry. Yeah, they are okay with it. Yes. Yeah.
Now, they don't have the full picture, but there again, we're not taught to think past what we want. We're always basing life and conversations and meetings and opportunities on, if I get involved here, will it be good for me? We're never basing it on any other. We say, where's community? And then live the life of an individual.
Yeah.
In a divided duality. Individual. We think that means one, but it does mean split into two. And we talk about the loss of community, and we don't know our next door neighbours, and we're a little uncomfortable, walking through large crowds, and we don't go out so much at night time, and we must be a little bit nervous of brown people. And if you read the papers, you're told that the police are now turning into bad people, and we're told that the justice system is corrupt, which it mostly is, and we're told that the care workers are bad people.
Yeah.
All instances of bad people. We've been frightened to stay in our homes, aren't we?
Bombarded with it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been. This is a horror story, and it's a horror story, and we marvel at it because it's a comic. It's a comic book of pictures and stories, and we marvel at it in a way that frightens us. And we're actually making a list, weren't we? I was making a mental list today about what things bother me about people. What do I find seem to be commonplace in people that I don't tend to get on with very well? And I remember very close to the top of the list, people who like horror movies.
Yeah.
I don't think people who like horror movies, I don't think I'm ever going to get to know them very well. Because the fact that they love the horror movies, the fact that they love the blood, the gore, the reality of it, the ability now for the movies to show you exactly what it would look like if you really did it.
Yeah,
the detail.
We're talking about the today movies with the CGI and the blood and the gore and the guts.
I think there's an illness there.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely an illness. And I think if you ask your grandma and granddad, should they be alive, you ask them, what do you think of today's horror movies? I think they would say only a sick person would enjoy them.
Would enjoy watching it,
yeah. What other things annoy you in people? This is a bit off the cuff, isn't it? I spent about an hour making notes. I've never done it before, and I haven't even looked at them yet. I don't know why I bother.
What really gets
me
is...
What a waste of bloody paper this is. I don't know why I bother.
As well as rude people.
Butting in.
Yeah, the common courtesy thing.
Yeah, what's that?
Please and thank yous.
It's going.
The
they
basics
are going.
Even if you stop at the side of the road to let another car pass, they don't acknowledge you and wave and say thank you anymore.
No, they don't. Well, the please and thank you thing. That I think I've told a story about a 70-odd-year-old lady, haven't I? In here? Yeah, and she just said tough. Yes. She gave me her order, and I said, it doesn't cost anything to say please. And she stared me in the face and said tough. 70-odd years old. So, can't make them say it.
No.
But it's...
And that's the age. That's the age group that you would think would...
You would hope so.
You would hope so.
But they do say that you get the face that you deserve, And we have, throughout history, in all cultures, we draw witches with certain characteristics. And they have a pointy nose, and a pointy chin, and a sunken, dark face, and dead, sullen eyes. It's not by mistake, is it?
No.
It's not by mistake, because, I hate to say this, but that's what a witch looks like. And you can see them out in reality. What did we see this afternoon, Range Rover? What was the registration number? What was the registration of that Range Rover?
It was letters O-N-E, spelling 1, and then the numbers 666.
Black Range Rover. Now, the reason we remark on that is because I've had that lady as a customer in my shop. She's been in.
We just shook her and said, they know.
Well,
these people know.
This lady's been in. She won't be listening.
No,
but she might be offended if I say this. So I'm trying to think, what words can I use? Because the lady who drove this car, she's been in my shop, and I can't think how to actually describe this. I can't do it. I don't want to do a John Inverdale thing, that John Inverdale thing. I mean, he's allowed to say she's not a looker.
No.
But live on Radio 5 Live with millions of people listening. I'm not sure about the wisdom of doing that myself, do you? The word wisdom, whiz, right? Whiz it forms part of wise, and we have whiz hard, but we call it wizard. But whiz is part of wise, and Dom is England. Not English. The word wisdom is wise England. But most people didn't know that one.
No.
It is wise England. Let's get back onto words, because words. How do you spell word?
W-O-R-D.
Or?
W-H-O-R-D. Oh, I-R-D, sorry.
You rubbish at
word,
spelling.
I am.
I'm playing wizard, alright? You're rubbish at spelling.
Word, yeah.
Okay, my little apprentice, my eager apprentice, my EA Sports, listen. W-H-I-R-R-E-D, word. The past tense of were. We live on a world which spins and spins and spins. Everything is a revolution. Everything is a cycle. And we are playing a duality in the big world with Sirius, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're playing an elliptical with Sirius. And I've known this for a long time. When you think of your bike chain, rolling them two wheels round. You think of your bike, the two wheels and the chain that rolls them round, and that's the elliptical that's making these two cycles work together.
Yeah.
I don't need to go into that, because you can study that all you like, but it doesn't come out in conversation much further than that, because people think it's all gobbledygook. They're much more interested in themselves. So if you do want to engage people in a conversation, you do have to let them start about themselves at first, don't you?
Yeah.
I've got three words that I'm going to line up. Strange. I've just read. I was going to read the chat box there. Rhyme, time, mime. Sound the same.
They do.
Are they connected?
People would say no, but
there must be.
But there must be.
There must be, because they sound similar. And the spell in rhyme is to fool you a little bit, isn't it?
Yes.
It does fool you a little bit, because everything is connected. Again, I say this every single week. You might not understand the connections we're showing you, but that's because they don't exist for you. But we've been doing this for so long now, and we know the backstory, the fairy tales, a rough guide of how history has worked without too much detail to fight over. I've read the Alan Watt 1, 2, 3 volumes. I've read book upon book upon book. Just finished The Social Animal by David Brooks. It's the view of the social animal from a political standpoint. And it criticises politics in some part, but then says politics is the answer for the people who work within it are trying hard to change it. but it does cover a good history of how we got here. Good book it is, The Social Animal. Wrote from a political observer's point of view. Accept that. Enjoy the book. I did enjoy it enormously. Now I'm picking up some classics, and I read through them all, and I enjoy getting what we can use, and it's this word decode. Rhyme, time, mime. Rhyme, okay? That is to be, sounds like or similar. Well, what does time do? Time always repeats itself.
It does.
Over the time template, over the cycle. The smallest cycle of time that we actually can relate to would be a minute, but that's not very long. Another cycle is the hour. That's not very long. Our groundhog cycle, which is the day.
The day, yes.
Okay, that's something that repeats every day, isn't it?
It
It
is.
repeats and repeats and repeats, and that rhymes. That's where the days rhyme, and everything's the same unless you change it.
Yeah.
So rhyme and time. They say history rhymes. Well, history doesn't. What's the word? History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. I think that's one of the sayings, isn't it? And rhyme and time. But then we have mime. And you think, why is the word mime in there? Why have we got the word mime? What do mime artists look like? They don't speak.
No,
Okay, they don't speak.
in black.
And they dress it, and they have white faces.
Yeah, and hands.
And they usually mime that they're trapped.
They do.
They usually mime that they're stuck, that they can't get out in some part. But it's that white face, isn't it? It's that not talking. Do we talk in a way that matters? Do we at this level?
I'd like to think so.
But we don't seem to be able to communicate with the next one above us.
No, and
Because they can't hear us, can they?
with that,
You go into court and they say, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And you think, well, I'll bloody shout louder then. It's because you don't understand what he's saying. You're not using the right language.
Yes.
Why do politicians not respond to our wishes? Well, first of all, they are not our servants. Only in times of election. For illusion only. This is a temporary change to get the vote. Then they turn back. The turncoats. They do turn back. They return to what they always were, which is the parasites, the flies that feed off. But anyway, we don't speak to politicians in a way that they understand. Politicians understand the written word in a form that they have to reply to. The spoken word does not have any value to them. You have to challenge them with documents and applications
And statistics.
and you have to challenge them in the way that it's dishonourable for them not to reply to you, and you have to question them in the way that they. I know politics is corrupt, but they can't hear us. The internet is a brilliant, absolutely brilliant tool. We should call it a firewall, because it stops us getting to them. They can't hear this.
No,
They can't hear this. This is our reality,
yeah.
virtually.
And the illusion is that it's making a difference.
And it's not.
No,
This is, they can't hear us. This is the firewall. This separates them from us. This is the very animation of our persona. This is the very ability for failures, right? This is for failures to animate themselves. We do the word person quite a lot, don't we?
Yes.
You can probably hear dogs barking. I've got windows open all over the place. I can't believe it's 80 degrees in the middle of North Yorkshire at 9:40 p.m. It's 80 degrees. We'll just pull those windows too, because I know these microphones will be picking these dogs up.
Okay, buddy.
But yeah, this is the animation of our persona. We know our persona is a dead entity, in the way that dead are alive. Our persona is the entity that can converse with other dead entities called corpses.
Yeah.
Or corporations. Or cooperations, if you actually do the word properly. These are cooperations that work together to actually mutually benefit from the rape of us. We spoke all the time about fact and fiction, and we're led to believe that the fact is in the news and the documentaries, and the BBC can be held as an honourable establishment.
Provider of fact.
Auntie won't let you down. She'll tell you the facts, the truth, and nothing but the truth. She doesn't, does she?
No.
She doesn't. It looks, and it's looking more like the actual future that we should be trying to research is now in fiction. It's in comics, it's in stories, it's in films. And it's in everything that you think is fiction. The actual facts are created for us. This is the art of creation that we're falling for.
Yeah.
Right? They change and manipulate what we think the world is like.
Yes, they're creating the world
That's right.
for us.
Yeah, they create the news, and it's to break us, to make us broken.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the world in a negative way. We think everything is dangerous. Everything will hurt us. What if, oh, I shan't bother, I might lose, that might not work out too well, let somebody else go first. Don't risk it, you can't afford to. Oh, I wouldn't if I was you. Don't forget your coat. You know, it's that sort of society that we're building, you know. You won't let your cotton wool kids, you won't let your kids out of your sight because you truly believe there's paedophiles in every corner. When the government sets up these think tanks, think about that. What do we keep fish in? If you want to enslave a fish, what do you put it in? You put it in a tank, don't you? Why are they called think tanks? Oh, it's nothing to do with it, Paul. Okay, if we're not the fish and they're not trying to get us in tanks, then why do we put soldiers in tanks and get them to throw shells at each other?
Yeah.
Why do we get them to put them in ships and they throw shells at each other? It's called shelling.
It is.
You don't think this is already written in the language already? You don't think that these people laugh their heads up above us? You don't think that we hear the words that they're using and we hear them and we think that they understand the same as we do? You don't understand that they are speaking the same language and we haven't got a clue. They are laughing their heads off us. We're using a computer. It's the word corpse. It's the word mute. Right? It's dead and it doesn't speak. And we breathe life into it.
We do.
We plug it in and we electrify it and then we personalise it and then we go and think it's real. It's bollocks.
It is. We become the vehicle to bring it to life.
Yeah, we breathe life into this.
We do.
And who's on here? People like us, the people at the bottom, who do the most work and have the least bloody knowledge.
Yeah.
And still, we won't give it up. Why not, do you think? Is it the same reason that in Africa, Namibia, that's where the last bit I read, Namibia, where the population was ravaged with AIDS in the 80s, and the kids who were being born in the 80s saw the parents dying in middle age in the 90s and 2000s, and they nursed them until they died in middle age, and they died from AIDS. Why is it those kids are recreating the same thing? Why have those children, despite all the information they have, recreated the very same problem by having unprotected sex? And they too have AIDS.
Because it's made it normal. It's normalised them, hasn't it?
But what people will say is, those kids have been injected with AIDS. They might be right. But the fact of the matter is that the kids have not changed their behaviour that killed the parents. That's what we're trying to show. That's what I'm trying to get over.
Yeah.
That we don't alter our ways because it's bad for somebody else. Smoking and drinking is obviously that's obviously the two main favourite ones. But gambling, all the vices that hold us tightly, that grip us, the vice that grip us. Now, going back to fact and fiction and how it's blending together, we'll have to have the windows up, and it was about 84 degrees now. I'm actually steaming.
Dog stop barking.
I was going to say, dogs and barking. There's more connections we can make. Dogs and bloody barking. BBC News story, just picked it up then. Let's do one. Let's actually do a news story. You can have it.
Yeah, it's BBC News. Science and environment is this. Adults become more like children in a virtual world.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Now, they're going to tell you, they're going to give it a little cover story about when adults were given the avatars of children, they acted like children. But rather than read the whole thing, just miss that first paragraph and then take the second one.
It's body illusion. It's called, and they've headed it Body Illusion. A team led by Mel Slater from the University of Barcelona found 3 situations in which adult participants reacted differently depending on what virtual body they were in. Embodiment illusions have already established this, that when placed in a small virtual body, surroundings objects seem larger. What was unexpected was that those in a child's body overestimated the size of objects to a greater extent. The participants were also asked to do an implicit association test, which requires participants to categorise themselves with child childlike or adult-like attributes. Those in the child's body reacted faster to childlike attributes to those in the adult body.
Right, what we're getting through here is, although this is written in BBC plain, boring language,
Yeah.
it doesn't give you the actual news story. You have to work out for yourself that what it said is when they make you small, when they make you childlike, everything seems bigger and more threatening. And that's what we're trying to show you today. That these news stories, right, you think the world's full of evil, nasty people, but you have no real evidence in your own lives.
No.
You only have that somebody else has told you.
Yeah.
Now, I know, in the early days of trying to share this stuff, you can make enemies. It's real easy, isn't it? But they're not real enemies. They just think you've gone nuts. They just think you've gone nuts, and they give you a wide berth, don't they?
They do, yeah.
But they're not enemies. They're not evil. They're not trying to do you down. I understand in today's modern language of trading, and we do trade all the time. We are trading. The language is trading, and we're trying to add value and share and give and take away and multiply and that sort of thing. And we're all trying to get something from the world, and I know that. But we've forgotten how to do it collectively. Now we do it individually, and if I can get it and somebody else has to suffer, so be it. That's it.
Yeah.
And if I win and he loses, I'm the winner. Well done me. Everyone's a winner. Well, they're not, are they? Because for every winner, there's always a loser. It's like the old crazy adage of in the 80s and 90s, and maybe even so now, in the teenage years, the more female partners a guy had, the more of a stud he was. But nobody ever thought, well, you can't have a number of female partners without the girls playing the same game. It takes two to tango.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I mean, the guys were notching up the bedposts, and the girls were saying, when they found a guy who was interested, only one or two. And it was silly late night dabbles, and it didn't mean anything. Because that's what the girls knew they had to reply. Couldn't possibly be true, because every guy has to find a girl to tango with. Anyway, what we're saying is that the smaller and childlike they make us, the more easier we are to frighten.
Yeah.
It's not the ghost under the bed, is it?
No.
It's the monster in the wardrobe.
Monster in the wardrobe.
You see,
yeah.
and it doesn't. That's what it is. We're easier to frighten and control when we feel small, powerless, and weak. And the newspapers and the news programs who go round in 15-minute cycles to make sure that you get the news of the day. A whole planet's worth of news we've got, and you get 15 minutes of it. And they keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it because it's a science.
Yes.
It's a con-science. Put the word con-science together. You see, con-science, conscience. All right, I understand this conscience, unconscious type thing. You're either grown up and mature, and you can have a crack at handling this, or you're not and you don't. As for the terminology of conscious, unconscious, subconscious, brain, mind, left, right, up, down, whatever, no. You either going to get this stuff, or you're not.
Yeah. Or you're going to revert back. Well, the conversation we had today, wasn't it? With you, is this conversation too grown up for you? And you have got to ask yourself, if you can't handle a grown up conversation.
If you can't answer the inquisitive questions of a 4-year-old, then what intelligence level do you have?
Really, yeah.
Because when a 4-year-old said, why is a day called a day? Why is a month called a month? Why is a second called a second? Why is a watch called a watch? Why is a clock called a clock? Right, why is it called a house and a home? Why is a bungalow called a bungalow? Right, where's the sun go? Right, if you can't answer these 4-year-old questions, because that's what they do, that's my experience with children, they ask some brilliant questions, and they realise that their parents don't know
the answers, no.
But their parents cover it in a very embarrassing answer. It's just what we call it. We had to call it something, so we decided that we'd call it that. And that's it, apparently. That works. Well, it's less embarrassing than saying, I don't know. I don't know. Ask me something I do know.
Go ask your teacher, they usually say it.
Teach and cheat. There's a spell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Teach and bloody cheat.
Cheater, yeah. Teacher.
Just finished off that BBC News story. The actual participants were wearing something like a onesie, weren't they? They were wearing something like a onesie, and it was all body movements and that. It was virtual reality. They were wearing headgear and everything, weren't they?
Yeah.
And we know that is the ultimate, but it won't look like that. You know that, don't you? They show us one thing while preparing another.
That's it. Yes, they've tried to cover themselves here Virtual reality could help us take the perspective of victims of young children and could help rehabilitate prisoners. That's just a cover story for... We're studying you now more than ever, so we can manipulate everything to say what we want it to say.
The word me. Why am I me? Well, it does end the word name, ends the word mime, ends the word tame, ends the word lame, ends the word same, ends the word came, ends the word dame. You can be any me you want.
Yeah.
Because this game is really simple, and it's run by the Queen Bee.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line, but I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane, you know, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. You know, that's what's insane about it.
And that was the early 80s, I think, for Mr. Lennon. Yeah, about the early 80s, I think. He was starting to speak out after 10 years in the wilderness with Yoko. Obviously getting juiced up on everything. I mean, she took him on a hell of a path, didn't she? But he did come back round, and he was right. Yeah. He was right, even though his spiritual journey continued. I've actually seen Yoko Ono on a late night, I think, Jonathan Ross, about a few months ago.
All right.
She's nuts. She's 70-odd years old, and she's still nuts. But she's still fronting her own band and singing and screaming and shouting, and those that go, go. Mr. Lennon,
Yeah.
Mr. Lennon, what was it, 80? Was that just before? When did we lose John Lennon?
80, was it 84?
Was it 81, I think?
Oh, it might have been 81.
81, yeah. I think. On 1980, 81's Christmas, December, wasn't it? We should do some research.
We should.
We don't, do we?
No.
We don't. We just sit down here and have a crack at it. I ask what you've been reading, you ask what I've been reading, and we just get on with it.
We do, yeah.
I spend a few minutes a day on Facebook making sure I'm not being rude, because I ask people to use Facebook to contact us.
Yeah.
Below this YouTube video, my YouTube channel, or our YouTube channel, is The Unpenned Show. This is Tuesday, the 16th of July, 2013. This will be turned into a YouTube video tomorrow, The Unpenned Show, or just my name. This dry weather's... it's lack of... Anyway, not enough bloody Smiths. But The Unpenned Show, or just my name, Paul Vickers, you will find it. Listen, comment, share. If you think so, it doesn't matter. We don't do this for ego recognition or pats on the head like most people, do we?
No.
I actually do this because I want my daughter to learn this before I did. I want her to be better than me. I want her to have this information earlier. And I think she might listen to me. But it might be when I'm gone she picks this up.
Yeah.
But it's here. It's a record of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to share. It's almost a selfish Tuesday night, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're both doing it for similar reasons. To leave something of ourselves behind that our children might find important one day. Because mine's too young now. She's 12. She's 12 this month.
The University of Life. We were talking there about the previous comment.
I knew I'd get that wrong.
About these universities doing all these studies, and there's a word, study. You stood still, aren't you?
Well, your study is where all your books are, isn't it? That's where all your big names, all the famous historical names. They usually have a portrait, or at least a picture taken, when they're in the study. When the study, they're always surrounded by books.
Books, yeah.
And they say there's a book in every
library, yeah.
Yeah. Well, library comes from two words, doesn't it? It comes from like liberty and literary, and it's free. It's free word, free library. You know, it's liberty is free, literary is the written. So library is where we got that from. But it's also the scales. Libra is the scales.
It is the balance.
And I think a lot of people don't realise that they did give us libraries because they said those that want to know. Yeah. We're not stopping you learning, but don't expect us to teach you what you need. We'll teach you what we need.
Yes, that.
We'll teach you what we need, because we need, like bread, we need you. Now, if you want to need us, you've got to get to our level, because you cannot need from the underside. You have to need from above. You need down. Yeah. And well, they put the libraries in place and said, just like the students now. The students are bitching about the cost. But the libraries still exist.
But the libraries have no... If you do it yourself, it has no credence, because you can't... There's nobody behind you to give you that certificate to say that scroll of paper with a little red ribbon round it. And to say, somebody's taught me this. There is no credence in teaching yourself.
I don't agree.
No, I don't agree.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't agree, but that's the system says that this is how we do things.
Yeah, the programme
and
says.
The copy
the
and
programme
paste
says that's right. You will wear the motorboard with a little swishy tail at the back.
Yeah, and
you'll put the dress on.
And have your photograph taken.
Yeah, and you will become a builder.
Yes.
But you will become a labourer to the builder, because you're the carrier of the motorboard. You are not the
You're
builder.
not the builder.
No. You're
but
not
the
builders of
illusion is
society.
that you are the builder.
Well, that's right.
Because you've been given all
that's
the
right.
You've not taken the ideas in there.
No.
You've been given the books to read for their ideas
You've
to be
just paid for the better programmes. Now on the internet, you can find some cheap knockoff copies of everything.
Impression,
exactly. It is. It's all impressions. It's all impression. I'm impressed, and if you're impressed, you usually do an impression of something, don't you? If you see it on TV, you can vocally do it, or you can wear it, or you can stylize it, or you can characterize it. But you're impressed, so it makes an impression upon you. They're not the builders. They're the builders, labourers, for what is the builders of society. But they're the labourers for the builders of society.
Yeah.
Us labourers. I didn't start off there. Where was I going then? Because I wasn't on motorboards, was I? I started somewhere else.
No, it was me that took it back to what we were saying earlier before the tune.
I lost where we were. Completely lost. Libraries.
Yes.
There is nothing stopping anybody. You can get any book. I believe almost any book in the world. If it's available, you can get it. I believe so. That's one of it. And modern societies throughout history have done this. If you want to learn and you want to become, then do it. And there's nothing stopping us now. Now the internet is fabulous in one way and terrible in another, because you don't have any way of discernment on here, because you actually listen to certain information sources and you become attached to those information sources, and you believe them. And I'm not going to pick any of the names that you might be attached to, but you don't know them. And I'm not saying these people are bad people at all, but where are they getting their information from? Now, if they're getting it from the myths and legends and superstitions that are recorded in history, why are you repeating them? What was it you thought you were going to get from this? Because a myth is just the word mystery or truth, and you'll never know. You won't know. No. You want knowledge, but you don't attach the word legend. Because legend indicates that's the end of knowledge.
And where does all this knowledge come from? It's supposedly been passed down, hasn't it? And I know, and people can argue with me, it is the original copy and pasting.
How long have we been slaves for? Thousands?
Oh,
4,000 years?
Definitely.
Definitely 2, more likely 4, more likely 5. Apparently we couldn't write before then.
No.
Yeah, whatever. I can't say I'm really convinced that we didn't start writing until about 5,000 years ago. If we've been here millions. I can't decide. I don't think so. What's a kid's natural reaction? It's to paint, isn't it?
Yeah.
A kid wants to paint. Okay, you don't have to tell him. He just wants to paint pictures. You give him a piece of paper and a number of crayons, and they all do the same thing, don't they? They all paint what they see. And it doesn't matter how big that piece of paper is, they cover all of it.
Yeah.
Right to the edges and over, don't they, in the early days? And what are those pictures primarily? What's in them?
The things that they see around them. The mum, the dad, the dog, on a grassy hill with a tree and the sun.
But they always have the sun, the moon, the stars, the sea, their house, mum, dad, a cow, a tree, and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the whole picture is what they see. But they don't paint like that for long, do they? That freedom of inspiration isn't there for long. They can knock out masterpieces that decorate your fridge for the first year or two, but they don't keep going, do they? By the time they hit slave training camp, the pictures start to change a little bit.
Yeah.
They start to draw mummies and daddies as stick figures. And then by the time they're 9 or 10, they're focusing on individual items. whether it's flowers or cars or that sort of, we're starting to draw in the middle of the paper, and we don't fill the edges, do we? Now, if you follow the art student through his life, by the time he's 15, 16, he's in the art class, he's looking for recognition from his teacher, but still the art has no value. He's still painting what he sees. He still has an opportunity to try and paint a little bit of himself into it, but he hasn't got the experience to do that yet. So at 15, 16, he's still painting what he sees.
Yeah.
By the time we go to art college, they try and get that personality out of you, don't they?
They do.
You know, they try and express yourself however you feel comfortable. But still, the painting has no value in the wider world. It is only when you get to leave the training centres or whatever it is you've gone through, and you paint a picture on a canvas and offer it for the judgment of others. Will they pay for what it is that you're sharing in this picture? Well, what is it you're sharing in this picture? It's you and your vision. But that's what we're doing now. We're sat out of sight of our listeners, trying to paint a picture.
Yeah.
And everybody who's listening is deciding what we look like, how old we are, what we do, whether we're nice, friendly-looking guys, whether we're trying to cause trouble, because everyone thinks they're just saying that'll cause trouble. We're not trying to. Look, we're not trying to divide anybody. There is no gun to anybody's head to listen to this show. We would love your comments. Negative is better than positive. The negative is what teaches us about you, because we find what you're not interested in. What you're interested in is what we're all interested in. We would like to be happily married with 2 lovely looking kids whose futures are rosy and bright. We'd like to have the mortgage nearly paid off, a good holiday booked, a pension that we can rely on, and a garden that we can manage relatively easily.
And it's not much to ask that, really, is it, when you tot all that up?
After all the thousands of years we've been aiming for that, it's a shame that we haven't got it.
We haven't got it, yeah.
You know, I mean, in this world of a debt-based money system, which 9 out of 10 people don't exist, you can always sort of get people sort of stumped a bit by saying, if the government prints the money, and if the government wanted us to be a nation of homeowners, and if the government wanted us to get out of debt and improve the economy and turn it into a successful, buy locally, manufacture the things we need so we can, you know, have an economy that's successful, it would start by giving you interest-free mortgages. Why does it make you go to banks that are in private hands to pay extortionate, to pay over twice for the property that they pretend they want you to have? They want everybody to have their own home.
Yes.
And yet they don't make it so you can have it. And you tell me that the government print the money, but I have to go to an outside source and pay twice for the very same thing. Doesn't make sense, does it, you see? This is the confusion, the mess age that we live in, where people can have, they can be okay with that point of view, that yes, we have to go to banks because people need paying for this. But yes, perhaps the government should issue the mortgages, and perhaps we should be allowed to pay them back interest-free, and that would free up a lot into the economy to make it more successful. And if the economy improves, that means that the level of tax or the amount of tax paid would be increased because the economy is improving. So it would, but we have to. All those banks employ people. They employ thousands of people. They'd be out of a job. But you see, they can hold 2 opposing points of view and argue and accept both.
But not willing to try anything different,
because they can't think different.
We still get the same.
This is the scary bit. They can't think different.
No, they can't.
They think this is the system. Why is a day called a day? That's just the way it is. Why is a month called a month? It's just because we picked that name.
Childlike analogy.
That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I'm just small. I'm just one person. What do you want me to do? I'm working too hard. I haven't got time. I understand it. I understand this. I haven't got time, and when I've got time, I'm too tired. I do know that I've been very lucky because I do have time. I do have the luxury to read and relax and reflect and look and study, but not in the way that I do it on the internet. I actually just get quiet time. Just time for me, on my own. And I guard it jealously now. Pick a word. Pick a word. Pick anything. Let's go with something. Come on, this economy's goosed. This economy is goosed, isn't it? I mean, we're slowly but surely running out of unproductive things to do. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, there's people at work who they don't do a bat. I won't pick who you would think I'm going to pick, but the government are making up jobs for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people now. These are unproductive jobs, yeah, just to keep the economy going, because the plan is to make us poor.
Yeah.
All of us poor. And I know people argue about the socialism, communism, capitalism, fascism system. All the systems are in place, and they're all running. They're all running concurrently.
They are.
Depending on which level you're on.
Yeah.
All 4 systems are running concurrently. If you're in one and recognise it, that'll be socialism. If you're doing well in the money system, that'll be capitalism. If you're doing well without working, that'll be communism. Okay, and if you're doing really well and making controlling the planet, that'll be fascism. Yeah, you sat right at the top.
Yeah. And all those realities exist
Costa.
all around us.
Yeah.
You look for it.
Yeah.
You see it
It's
everywhere.
not one or the other.
No, it's not.
All 4 are running together.
Yeah.
And we're taught to vote for socialism, which is designed to make us all poor and pull as many as possible in. Now, the middle class are actually being annihilated at the moment, but the people at the bottom don't care.
No.
They don't care, because the way we've been programmed is, if they have to lose so we can get paid, that's just the way it is.
And the divide and conquer continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer. I mean, what do madmen do? What do a lot of tinkerers do? I used to work with a guy years ago. He's gone now, bless him. His name was Charlie. When you brought something new into work, and this was in the fire service and the RAF, if you brought something new into work, do you know what you wanted to do?
Take it to
Take it to bloody bits, see how it worked. He actually wanted to take it to bits to see how it worked. In my very early days, I did a little bit of DJing, and I got a decent career out of it. I didn't just get to be a DJ, I got to be a bit more than that, but it doesn't matter. And I remember I was in the fire service, but I also used to take the trailer to work sometimes and get showered there and go off and do my DJing bits at night time. He used to take, if someone wasn't working properly, right? I mean, I have to say thanks to the RAF for this. I just gave it to Charlie, right? And because on an RAF base you can basically lay your hands on anything.
Yes, I would have thought so.
If it was broken, he would fix it. He would fix it, yeah.
Mr. Fix It.
So he is affectionately remembered in my memory. But what I'm trying to show here is that we're controlled by madmen, and these men are mad, but not in a way of mad crazy. They're just mad because they're mad on power, they're drunk on power. They can do what they want.
Back to John Lennon, insane.
Insane is forms the word sanity. So, insanity? That doesn't really work out right. Insanity doesn't sound dirty.
No.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But back to, isn't what's happened to society by every generation that's taken the reins at the top? Haven't they split us into pieces?
Yeah.
Haven't they broke us into as many pieces as possible? Haven't they dissected every single part of humanity and its quirks and its differences and its diversity? And haven't they studied so hard to expand those differences? So we all ask for community and have no idea how to do it.
What it means. No.
We've been dismembered.
Dismembered, yeah.
And we can't remember how to put it back together again.
No.
It's fallen, hasn't it?
It is.
Humpty Dumpty.
It is the Humpty Dumpty.
It's fallen. And we can't remember how to put it back together again.
No.
As society moves forward, it forgets things along the way. It forgets what it should know. It forgets and replaces it with something it wants. And because we live such a short time, it's not hard to lose a skill, is it?
No.
It's like the old Bible story is carpenter and son, isn't it? And even though I'm not being biblical here, we tell the story about the guy who starts the carpentry business, the young man who works morning till night
to learn his craft.
And he doesn't just want to be good, he wants to be the best. And he gets there, and it takes him almost half a lifetime to develop that skill. And then he gets married, and he has a son, and his son sees how hard his dad works, and he loves him and respects him, and he honours him. And his father says to his son, I don't just want you to be as good as me. I want you to learn these things earlier than me, so you can be better than me. And isn't that what happens on the rise? And then we don't we get to the pivotal point where we've created a business, a self-sustaining business, where the son doesn't have to work so hard anymore because he's employed other joiners, and now he's married with a son of his own, and that son of his doesn't even have to learn to be a joiner anymore, a carpenter.
No.
Because he's achieved success. We're full of success. We're successful. We've sucked to excess, and now we're full. And my son doesn't have to do that. You know, it's a life of luxury.
Yeah.
We've done it. We've given him everything. We've made his life better than ours. But we haven't.
No.
Because you've kidded yourself.
The word easy comes in there.
Yeah.
Made his life easy.
But you've kidded yourself. That business is now only one way to go. Because the skill, the drive, the passion has been removed from what was and is the success of that business.
Yeah.
Now the business is living on past history, and it's going down.
Yeah.
Because the skills are being forgotten.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening to us, isn't it?
It is.
This is exactly what's going on.
We're on the fall.
That took a lot of telling, didn't it? We've had the summer, and I think it isn't impossible to say that life's never been perfect. I ain't looking back at a perfect time.
No.
But
our parents had the summer, didn't they? They pretty much.
Our parents?
And
yeah, I would say
the grandparents.
Parents and grandparents. They
got the deal that they were promised.
Those that retired about 20 years ago. Those that retired about 20 years ago.
My parents are retired, and they're enjoying life. They've got enough to live on, and it's worked out okay for them. The pension's paid out for them.
Do you know what the problem is?
It's us.
It's our lack of intelligence, isn't it? And this isn't working, is it? This internal network.
No.
It's not working because it's the external network that's going to do it.
Well, it's been given to us.
We don't know. Well, yeah.
We didn't create it. It's been given to us.
They didn't give us this so we could overcome them.
No.
They gave us this so they could spy on us. Tuesday the 16th of July 2013, live on Awake Radio and simulcasting on Blog Talk as well. Welcome back, 10:24 p.m.
Flies by.
It does fly by. A little point that I picked up here off the screen, and that is that, and we've proved this, haven't we, on some of the parties that we have. We've gone to 2 parties, and we've been playing songs in the back room there, haven't we?
Yep.
And we've asked people, what are you picking up for this song? What are you picking up? And they say the rhythm and the pleasure and the excitement and the fun and the vibes from it all. And nobody picks up the words in the way that they're the most important part of the song. Nobody picks up that the actual melodies are quite simple, really. Today's pop songs are actually very much nursery rhymes now. Very much. We have in the 80s we had a PWL, P. Waterson. They were simple songs. ABBA did it in the 70s. I can't think who I'd liken it to in the 90s. I guess Steps and people like that. Steps and Boyzone and that sort of thing, singing mushy, soft songs, all corporate rubbish, But it worked well. The kids brought it on, That's why Boyzone, Take That, Westlife, that they're all still trying to come back and milk the public for some more. But we don't get the words. We don't listen to the words and how and why the words exist. We just sing along with the chorus. We can never remember the rest of it, can we?
No.
Well, because we are the chorus. We're here to parrot the chorus. That's all we're here to do.
Yeah.
We're not the writers. We're not the choreographers.
No.
We're not the stagehands. We're not the directors, the producers, the managers. We're not the script writers. We're just the chorus. And you sing when you're prompted.
Yes.
That's it.
It's your go.
Yeah. Command prompt. Back to computers.
Yeah.
The wizards. You see, this. If you think this is your saviour, this isn't going to save you.
No.
Okay, savvy. Get savvy. because this thing is not going to save you. If you wonder why we can't build a community and we can't find like-minded people to actually move forward in our collective strength, it's because we're all sat on this all bloody day and night.
Yeah.
We're all sat on this with the illusion of building groups. It's not what is really happening, is it?
No, not really.
We're all sat on here on our own, pretending that we're part of something big.
Yeah.
When we're not.
We're not, no.
We're not.
I know that people could argue, it connects you up with people around like-minded people around the world.
It allows me to stay friends with people who don't give a shit about me. It allows me to send them pictures of my holidays.
Yeah.
It allows me to send little nursery rhymes and poems and little bits. Yet they don't give a flying...
No.
They are thousands of miles away.
Yeah, I know an old fella said to me, and we were at Plumbers Merchants one day, and an old fella just said to me, he says, only do stuff for them that'll come to the funeral, lad. And I thought, yes, that is, we live, this world, as you were on about, the world and word.
Oh, they've globalised it.
World.
We've globalised it. They think we need to know about everything.
Yeah.
We need to know every bloody thing.
And you don't, it's what you can physically touch, taste, smell, and the people around you now.
Exactly.
That matter.
It's the real stuff.
Yes, that's the real stuff.
If you can't touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, hear it, right? It's somebody else's reality.
It is.
It's not yours.
Not yours. And you've got to.
I'm happy doing a radio show because this is all it's bloody useful for. Right, a radio show.
Yeah.
And we play a few tunes and have a jolly good natter.
Yeah.
Like a radio show. This is not an educational therapy. This is not knowledge in a way that...
No, we can't profess to
say
that. And we wouldn't want to.
Listen at my shortcomings. Listen at it. This is us trying to say, don't forget where you live. Don't forget who your neighbour is.
Yeah.
Don't forget your mum and dad's birthday. Don't forget to do something today that made your life or somebody else's better. All sounds flowery. Right, okay, got some questions for you. Done this before. Are you using fluoride toothpaste? Well, you're lying to yourself then. Do you buy most things cash? Well, you're lying to yourself then. Do you still go to McDonald's? Well, you don't believe this shit then, do you? Yeah? You see, you've got to get with the programme.
Yeah.
Because people you meet are going to ask if you're serious. And if you ain't filtering your water, if you ain't paying cash when you could, if you're not trying to buy local, if you're not trying to get involved with somebody or some trying to buy food, if you're not getting the fluoride out of your toothpaste, and if you're not trying to engineer conversations that matter, then you're pretending. Now, pretending is for bloody children. Even the word minor is the word children.
It is.
And we're called minority.
Minorities.
This is underage. The word minority, its original root, is underage. It just means there's less of us. Well, yeah, because we haven't got to the man age yet. Because we're a child. We haven't got to man age. We're children. And we get treated like children. And fish, wish, dish. They rhyme together, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Yeah. Wonder why they put those in a group together. Huh? Fish, us, wish, what we do all day. Dish, what we are.
What we are, yeah.
They sit well together, don't they? What else in here? What is achieve? Well, you've given it a different ending with the VE. If we go chief and thief,
yes,
then you can understand what achieve and thief is.
Yeah.
Let's go back one. Try and find the smallest version of the words. If you're going to have a go at this word decode, go back to the smallest version of the word and then see how it's been built and changed to fool you. If you try and decode a long word, you'll make a cock of it. Because these people are the builders, and this language has been built. It's been built out of the magic spells of air, earth, fire, water and spirit.
It has.
And what is that?
That's where we live. That's
air, earth, fire, water, spirit. A-E-I-O-U. That is how it's been built. That is the core of the language, and they have structured it. And it is not a new language. It's the one we've always had. It's the best version, and we're using it today. And the reason why it's the best version is because we have the clue what it means. Absolutely clueless. The people at the bottom know the least and do the most work. And the people at the top do the least work and know the bloody most. And we think by using the very propaganda machine, the TV 2.0, the time stealer,
Yeah.
The persona activator.
Yeah.
The spy who doesn't love you.
Mm.
We think by using this, we're going to change things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it's going to change. You. It already has.
Yes, and not for the better.
You're looking for something else to save you.
Yeah.
You go in here every day looking for somebody who's saying the right things that you can attach yourself to. Sometimes I picture the entire masses in a one great big dog pound. And all they're doing all day is and they're yapping all day, and they want
out
and they say they want to be out. If I was out of here, I would do this, and if I and then what do they do? How long till feeding time?
And it is as simple as that, really, isn't it?
Sometimes I think it is, yeah. Let's have a look at some more words that rhyme then, because we're an hour and a half's up, but let's do another one. Let's have a little bit more. Right, let's have a look at read and lead. Do you think they actually rhyme for a reason? do you think so? Yeah? And how about head and dead?
Yeah.
You see? Because you can have head, dead, lead, or lead. But we don't have an alternative for head and dead, do we?
No.
But we do have an alternative for lead and lead.
Yes.
Lead and lead. No. Leaders? Well, what are leaders used for? Walking dogs.
Yeah.
Leaders. And then we've got the word read. Which comes to the word read?
And ready.
Ready.
Are you ready?
Head, dead, lead, red.
Yeah.
See? All go together.
Get to your library.
All go together. The little spells are changed. Lead and read. Lead and red. It means different things. It's different tenses. No, they're put together for a reason.
They group together.
Yeah, they're grouped together for a reason. The EAD ending with one letter in front, that's head, dead, lead and red. There's a reason why that group was created. Believe me, there was. How about T-O-M-B? Tomb.
Tomb.
W-O-M-B.
Womb.
Womb. B-O-M-B.
Bomb.
Boom! It doesn't say that.
No, but people would say
yeah,
bomb, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but
it isn't. It's
this
boom.
is what people don't understand. It's boom.
Boom, yeah.
But they say bomb.
Bomb.
Just in case you're working stuff out. Just in case you might work this out. How easy is it to fool people, then? It's really easy, isn't it? Here's one. This is fun. You go shopping and you buy a pad and a pen. And the total amount you spent on the two items is £1 and 10 pence. The pad costs £1 more than the pen. How much does the pen cost?
10p.
How many people are on 10? The pad costs £1 more than the pen. Well, if the pen costs 10p,
yeah,
and the pad cost £1, then it's only 90 pence more on the pad.
Yeah.
So the pad costs £1 and £5, and the pen costs 5 pence.
5p.
That's how easy it is to fool people. And you assume you're right.
Yeah, you do.
You just think, oh, I've got it. Yeah, 10p.
Yeah,
10p. Because I'm in a system of ones and zeros and tens and pounds, and I'm okay with that because we're going digital. It's all binary, ones and zeros. The dozen thing, that's all gone now. Years ago, we don't do it in 12s anymore. That was 40 years ago when they stole it all. No, it's all ones and zeros, and the pen costs 10p. And you'll set off, if no one corrects you, you'll actually think, it costs 10p, so I'm going searching for a 10 pence pen or a pound pad. You're wrong. You've set off on the wrong information, haven't you? You've set off with the wrong conclusions. How many guys do you know who take a wrong turn when driving and refuse to stop and ask for directions? What they do is, especially if you've got a new girlfriend in the car, right, you say, I think I may have taken the wrong turn, but I'm quite good at directions, so I'm looking, there's north, and I want to go south, so if we just carry on that, right, it's a wild guess, isn't it? But because you don't want to be embarrassed, you just assume you know where you're going. If I just keep the sun over there and then work out I want to be over there, and if I just oh shit, we won't stop and ask.
No,
we don't need to now because Satnav's done it. Really, we don't bloody need to now, do we? If you still call those that are asleep sheep,
didn't speak up because I wasn't an immigrant. Then they came to enter homes and offices for unannounced sneak and peek searches. And I didn't speak up because I had nothing to hide. Then they came to arrest American citizens and hold them indefinitely without any charges and without access to lawyers. And I didn't speak up because I would never be arrested. Then they came for immigrants and students from selected countries, luring them under the requirements of special registration as a ruse to seize them and detain them. And I didn't speak up because I wasn't required to register. Then they came for anyone who objected to government policy because it only aided the terrorists and gave ammunition to America's enemies. And I didn't speak up because I didn't speak up. And then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up.
Let's not live a life of regrets.
No.
When we look in that mirror, let's be proud of what we did.
Of what you've done.
Let's be proud of what we left behind.
Yeah.
And let's say we did what we can. Every Tuesday we put our time in, and the rest of the week we try and engage those that might be interested.
Yeah.
And the way to engage is to get them to talk about themselves. And if you're well versed on a number of subjects, you'll find that you meet teachers and solicitors and supermarket workers and traffic wardens and policemen, all these, and you will be able to engage on their subject. And you'll be able to ask, it's really simple, how long have you been doing that? Tell me a little bit about how it's changed. What do the older people say in the profession? What would you do if you could change it? That's the way to start a conversation with these people.
Asking the right questions.
The world runs on war.
But interested in what they're doing.
The world runs on war.
It does.
We all want the same thing, not bloody war.
War is hello.
Yeah, it is actually in the decode. War is hello.
It is.
And the word mourning is because we're being killed. We're being killed. We're going to our own funeral. We've always been going to our own funeral.
Yeah.
We are the zombies they personify and laugh at in the movies. We are the zombies that your teenage kids are blowing to pieces in the bedrooms. The realities are stacked up however you decode them, and all of them are correct. So once you think you've got the idea of how reality works on one story, go research another one. Go read your classics. Listen to your fairy tales. Listen closely to them songs. Because those songs, even today's modern songs, they show off to each other about how they can write and perform and show, and we don't hear, we don't see, and we don't react. They do it in all the films, in all the movies, everything we watch. They pride themselves on how clever they are in showing how the decode works to those that can decode it. And because we don't choose to listen properly, because we don't make the right connections, we almost sign our own death warrant, don't we?
Yeah.
We sign our of no particular value death warrant. Because we can't see this magic. We can't hear this magic. But we can. We can't decode it all. But we know it exists. And it's the living dead keeping us in the dark. And we know it's all about the light. We know it's about finding the light. And that's the word on.
It is, yeah.
We want morons.
Morons, yeah.
We don't want lessons.
We don't want lessons, no.
Lessons aren't going to help us.
They're not lessons out for us.
No. No, the lesson begins in church. That's not a lie, is it?
No.
They know what they're doing.
They do.
For another Tuesday.
Good night from me.
Thanks to everybody awake and to those you listening on Blog Talk. Enjoy the rest of your week. Good night and God bless from me.
And me.